Hello Exiles, and today I'm going to be providing you with a few little updates from the PoE2DB website, a reveal for the Shadow class which some people may have missed. It was a very blink and you miss, and you may have missed it, and also I'm going to be showing you a bunch of new uniques. And again, thank you for everyone that has subscribed over the last 24 hours or so with my leaks video. I fully appreciate it. Thank you. If you are not subscribed, guys, throw us a subscribe. We are aiming to try and get to 5,000 before the end of the year, so let's see if we can do it. With that being said, let's jump into this video. So, first things first, on the PoE2DB website, he has been busy over the last few days. He has changed the format of how the website looks, so it looks a little bit more like PoEDB, the original. Now on here now, he now has a selection of new skills which are now all added on here, so I thought we'd go through a few of them just to kind of show them off, and it might also bring in some build ideas. Bearing in mind that we are only now, 11 days away, your brain should be whirring getting ready into build mode for PoE2. So some of these gems may help you out. So first of all, we got Corrupting Cry, which does look like a bit of a war cry, which could be used for the warrior. And obviously it says here, supported war cries, causing them to inflict corrupted blood on enemies in their area of effect. Now that is pretty cool. Corrupted blood deals 10% of your strength as physical damage per second. So I can see people doing strength stacking potentially on this. You could do a strength stacking build and then run this war cry, and you'd be doing 10% of your damage as fizz damage per second. So that's the first one. Next one is the Withering Presence, which is connected to, I would assume this is connected to the Witch, which is, and again, apologies for the spelling mistake. I think this is supposed to say withered duration is 4 seconds, not witchered duration. When I saw that, it made me laugh. And it says witcher's enemy. I'm assuming that means withered enemies in your presence every 2.5 seconds, which then obviously withers the enemies and will make it so that they then take more chaos damage. So you could use this as a pathfinder for poison, or you could potentially use it for maybe a minion build if they were doing chaos damage. Next one is Coursing Current. Supports any skills that hit enemies, giving it a chance to also shock nearby enemies when you shock an enemy. So this is a bit of a shock proliferation gem, which is pretty cool. The only other way that I know that we could get shock proliferation in PoE 1 was by the Eldritch Implicits. Now, shocking hits here from supported skills have a 50% chance to also shock enemies within a 2.5 meter radius. So it is only 50%, it's not guaranteed. Next one we have is Vitality, which previously in PoE 1, it was always based on an actual life value that would obviously increase as per the level. This is regenerate 1.5% of life per second while it is active, and I'm going to assume that that potentially may go up. I don't think it is, because it is a support. All levels of gems are only level 1, and that is the base, so I don't think that would increase. Maybe quality may increase it by another 0.5%, may push it to 2%. But yeah, that is the new look of Vitality. Next one is Grim Feast. Feeds on corpses to bolster your energy shield. While active, enemies and minions that die in your presence will drop Grim Remnants. Picking up a Grim Remnant grants you energy shield, and you can overflow your energy shield up to double its normal maximum. So I can kind of expect that this is going to be connected to the Blood Mage. Potentially you could stack your energy shield if you wanted to. So instead of going for the blood element of it, you could obviously use blood but also connect it to your energy shield as well. So you could be stacking energy shield and obviously have double. As Jonathan did state yesterday on the Ghazi and Darth microtransactions interview, he did basically say that you can double your life on the Blood Mage Ascendancy by double. So that is pretty busted, and obviously now you can do it on energy shield, so you potentially could have double life and double energy shield if you was able to combine those two mechanics in some way. Next one is Defiance Banner. Now, obviously, we know what Defiance Banner does. However, it obviously provides you with nearby allies with armor, evasion, and movement speed while the banner lasts. And obviously, you cannot gain valor while it's being placed. Now, it does say there that it's 12% more armor and evasion and increased movement speed, and it lasts for 6 seconds. So that is the Defiance Banner aura. Next one is Elemental Invocation. Now, this one, I'm still trying to wrap my head around how you would get it to work. So basically, while active, this invocation gains energy when you freeze, shock, or ignite an enemy. Using the invocation, once sufficient energy is gathered, will consume the energy to trigger any socketed spells and could trigger them multiple times if it has enough energy. So this kind of sounds like a bit of a cast on trigger style gem. So it says there, look, gain 125 energy when you freeze, ignite, or shock an enemy. However, if you then read the bottom line, socketed spells only consume 10 energy per 0.1 seconds of base cast time when triggered. So if you think about that, that means that it can cast 9 times to be precise, 9 times in 1 second, because that would be 0.99. That would then use 90 energy. Now you are gaining 125 energy every time you shock, freeze, and ignite an enemy. So as long as you continually shock, freeze, or ignite an enemy, technically you can constantly be triggering skills. So as you're attacking, you could set off, you could put in there a bunch of trigger skills, i.e., I'm thinking now, like Frostbolt, or lightning, I'm thinking lightning conduit maybe. Skills that you can trigger not with your main skill. So you could basically run a main skill and have a ton of triggers that trigger every time you freeze, ignite, or shock. That sounds pretty crazy, and obviously shows on there maximum energy is 500. So you can stack your energy to 500. Herald of Plague. This looks like a herald skill, and it says there, while active, killing a poisoned enemy spreads its poison to other nearby enemies and has a chance to also hinder them. So this is kind of a bit of a poison proliferation, which we only really had that on the Pathfinder. We didn't really have it in a gem. Now we do. 17% chance to hinder and spreads the most damaging poison on enemies that you kill. Next one is reduced cooldown. Supported skills have 30% increased cooldown recovery rate. So obviously this then increases the rate in which your cooldowns recover. So this means if you are running maybe the hammer skill, the massive hammer skill gem that's got like a 20-second cooldown, this will obviously reduce it. You could potentially put this on the mercenary for the grenades, so you're getting your grenades back faster. That is an option. There's multiple skills that you could use this with. Next one is Combat Frenzy. When active, grants you a frenzy charge when you freeze, electrocute, or pin an enemy. This can only occur once every few seconds, which, as you read there, no more than once every 6.3 seconds. This, I feel, could be good for the Ranger, potentially, which will give you a frenzy charge if you're able to do like maybe a freeze build, or a shock build, or a pin build. One of the three. Because it uses spirit as well, you are going to have to gain some spirit from somewhere. Next one is Scavenged Plating, which is the first time I think that we've ever seen thorns being used in Path of Exile. It says here, uses fragments of armor scavenged from enemies to bolster your own. Fully breaking an enemy's armor grants you a stack of Scavenged Plating for a duration, and you gain armor and thorns per stack. Now, as it says there, 4 to 6 thorns per Scavenged Plating, and you can have 10 Scavenged Platings maximum. So that means that you would have up to 40 to 60 thorns. Now, I don't know what that converts to in terms of damage, but it's kind of like a bit of a damage reflect, I would have thought. So when they hit you, it obviously rebounds back onto them and does damage. Again, there's possibly going to be someone, I could just see it now, Give it a couple of months, someone will do a full Thorns build. Just you wait. It's guaranteed. Next one is Vaulting Impact, which looks very slam related. So this one is you leap forward and slam the ground, sending out a stunning shockwave that is especially potent against dazed enemies. Typo there again. 1 second to attack time, and it consumes the daze to cause 300% more stun build-up and the impact radius. So this is more of a monk skill, I think. So you can slam the ground with your staff. Next one is for the Mercenary, which is a load your crossbow with a clip of charged bolts that fire in bursts, releasing chaining lightning beams when they hit enemies. And obviously using it again will reload. So this is the new electric bullets that we've got, so Galvanic Shards. We've then got Stormblast Bolts, so load your crossbow with charged bolts that land around the target location and they can explode if hit by a detonator skill. Using this skill again reloads the clip. So this again is you can fire 3 bolts, and obviously there's a charge bolt duration is 8 seconds. So you've then got 8 seconds to then detonate it, and I'm going to assume that it then does some form of like electric potential damage, some lightning damage. We have Ammo Conservation, which looks good for potentially the Rapid Shot skill. 40% chance for the crossbow attacks to not consume a bolt. Now I don't see the point in putting this on a skill that maybe only has 1 bullet, because it's not really going to be there. However, if you put this on a skill that maybe has, let's say, 100 bullets, then I would assume every single time you fire 1 bullet, it's rolling that dice for 40%. So potentially, if you think about it, if you're rolling 100 shots, law of averages states that you should then get an extra 40 shots, because they're 40% chance out of 100 shots. So I would assume them that if you got 100 shots, you potentially would have 140 shots. So that, I feel, is going to work better with Rapid Shot. We then have Arcane Surge, which we should all know and love, which is from PoE 1. That is how it looks now. Gain Arcane Surge, dealing total 100% of your maximum mana, and lasts for 8 seconds. We have Clarity, which we now have 20% increased mana regen rate while a supported skill is active. So again, very little bit different to how it shows in PoE 1. Combo Finisher. Now this, I feel, is something that I don't quite know what class this would work well with, but I'm thinking maybe more like the Monk, because you do a lot of combos, but it could work well with the Warrior. Yeah, I'm trying to work it out, but it would only be for people that do melee attacks, because as it says there, supports melee attacks when you use yourself. Supported skills cannot be used until enough combo has been built up, but they deal massively more damage, and they cannot support skills which already combo. So as it says there, supported skills lose combo if you generate no combo for 8 seconds. You deal 50% more damage, and supported skills require 5 combo to use. So it's going to be a case of, I think, that you would build up combo and then carry on, and it would obviously then do more damage, 50% more damage. We have Ember Fusillade, which is, again, it looks projectile-ish. So I'm thinking maybe Ranger, Mercenary, conjures a blazing ember that hovers above you. After a short duration, the ember launches at an enemy, dealing fire damage in an area on impact, and recasting this spell resets the duration for all active embers, and multiple embers fired in the same fusillade will attempt to target different enemies. From reading that, I'm now thinking Sorceress, just with the fire and the fact that it is a spell. It would make sense for it to kind of stick with that archetype. Now, as we know, in Path of Exile, it doesn't need to stick to that archetype. It could be with anybody, but I feel that it would probably work best and synergize best potentially with the Sorceress. Next one we have is Double Barrel. Now, I saw this one last night and I was like, ooh. Supports crossbow ammunition skill, causing them to load an extra bolt at the cost of reload speed. So you will lose 30% reload speed, however, you'll have an additional bolt. This, I feel, may be good for your hard-hitting crossbow shots. So if you've got, let's say, the armor piercing one, and you want to load 2 instead, Yes, it may take a little bit longer to load, but you're going to hit them twice very hard rather than once. That, I feel, is going to work very well with that skill. And the next one is Raise Shield, which we are already aware of. Obviously, raise your shields, and it will then block all damage from that direction. And as seen in the live stream, if you hold your shield for too long blocking, then your stagger bar will raise, and you will then become vulnerable. And the last one here is Cast on Ignite. When active, gains energy when you ignite enemies, and it will trigger socketed spells on reaching maximum energy. So it gains 20 energy when you ignite an enemy from a hit with a skill, and triggers all socketed skills and loses all energy on reaching maximum energy. Now, it doesn't tell me what the energy is, but it could be 100, could be 50. So yeah, doesn't quite explain. So it gains 20 every time you use a skill, but it doesn't tell me what it needs to hit. I'm going to assume 100 to then trigger all of them, but don't quote me on that. That's just a guess. So that is all of the skills. There was also Meat Shield, but this was added a few days ago, and that is obviously very similar to the one that we have in PoE. They have a 10% chance to taunt, and the minions from supported skills are defensive. So that is all of the gems, guys, that obviously have been put on recently. Hopefully they can give you some more little build ideas and things to think about. Now, the next thing that we're going to go through is the Shadow Reveal. Now, the only reveal, or the only bit that we've seen of the Shadow in any form of gameplay, was from ExileCon when they did their initial trailer, which basically announced all of the classes, and we probably saw some Shadow gameplay for literally 1 second. That was it. We haven't seen anything since, just because they have kind of kept it under wraps and they don't really want to show it. However, for anyone that was beady-eyed and was watching the live stream the other day, when they went through the supporter packs and they showed off that if you buy the $480 pack, you would get the book, the artwork book. Now, I don't know if any of you beady-eyed people saw, but they actually turned the page onto the Shadow page, and you can actually see how he looks and what he is going to look like when he eventually is revealed. It's only a teaser, so I'm not going to say that this is the exact final form, but the fact that obviously the picture on the left here shows obviously how he looks, and it is kind of similar to how he looks in PoE 1. I'm confident that this is potentially how he is going to look when he is eventually added into the Path of Exile 2 beta, which probably won't be now till, we're talking probably at least March of next year. But there's a little bit of a teaser so we can kind of see what he looks like and how he's going to look. But as we know in Path of Exile 2, we adorn our characters with gear, and as soon as we do, they look a hell of a lot better, and all of the new unique gear and items adds some form of skin to them, and they all look pretty nice. So he will not look like that for long, but you can kind of see the basics of how he is going to look. And the last thing that I wanted to go through today is unique items. Now, there is 35 that we have seen so far. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to be going through all 35 of them, because some of them we're already aware of, i.e. like Aziri's Acuity, the Bones of Allure, the Cloak of Flame. All of these we already are aware of, so I wanted to go through the ones that we are not aware of. So, for example, this one, the Apron of, I think that says Emiran. The main stat on there you want to be aware of is the bleeding you inflict is aggravated. Now, as we know from Path of Exile 1, they have recently added this onto the bleed nodes. Basically, aggravated means that it would consider them moving if they are stood still. So this is something, if you are wanting to do a bleed build, and instead of you having to take it on a notable, it would help because it will actually be on your chest. So that's one of them. Next one is we have here, which is the Bristle Ball, which is gain rage when you crit and gain rage when hit. So that is a bit of a rage build item. Next one is the Corpse Wade. Now, we did see this on the live stream. We trigger Decompose skill on step. So basically what that would do is it would decompose on step. Oh no, not on the live stream. I think we saw this in some other gameplay footage I've seen. So you would obviously put like decompose behind you. The Culture of Crimson I discussed yesterday in my 12 leaks, which is the life leech can't overflow maximum life. Sounds pretty crazy. We then have Devata's Wind, which is a spear. So this is going to be for the Huntress. And we have in here skills fire 2 additional projectiles if the last movement skill you used was disengage. So that sounds pretty cool. And attacks cause bleeding if the last movement skill you used was engage. So there's a bit of a synergy here that you have to work together. Doldru's damning, we already know. Gamble Sprint is the new ones. So these have 40% increased movement speed at random when hit until hit again. 40% is pretty big. So I don't think there's any items other than 7 league steps in PoE 1 that provides up to 40% movement speed. That is pretty crazy. In terms of a piece of gear, the max that I've ever seen rolled on a pair of gloves is 35 on a base roll, and you could potentially get a little bit more movement speed on the Eldritch Implicit. But obviously that's 2 mods. Just one mod being 40%. The only one I can think of is 7 league steps, which is 50. So this is pretty good. Carrying on, we then have this Innsmouth. 50% reduced mana, but you have 100% mana regen and a bit of cold and chaos, which is pretty cool. Tilko's Current we saw the other week, which is the lightning damage, also contributes to electrocute build-up. So that's a bit of electrocute build. Life Sprig, we already know. Merit of Service. Allies in presence have block chance equal to yours. So that's whether you want to do an aura block build. So you could literally be an aura bot, wear this shield, and whatever block you have, everyone else has. But it's also potentially good for minion builds. So if you was to wear this, all of your minions would have block chance as well. So if you were 75 block as a witch, then all of your minions would have 75% block, which is pretty good. Next on, Quill Rain we're aware of, Queen of the Forest we're aware of, Sands of the Silk, that is the one that they showed in the reveal, where we get a blink skill, where obviously you turn into dust rather than actually rolling. The Black Doubt is damage over time, bypasses energy shield. However, while not on full life, you sacrifice 10% of your mana per second to recover that much life. This is agnostic. This is the agnostic keystone that is currently in PoE 1. That is pretty strong for it to be on an item. I don't like this though. Damage over time, bypasses energy shield. I don't like that. So there is always a good thing and then there's a bad thing. I don't like that. Next one, the Bloodthorn, which obviously provides bleeding. Following on from that, the Endless Night, which then provides +2 to cold skill gems, and enemies chilled by you have no elemental resistances. That's good for a chill build. Further on down here, we then have the Knight Errant, which gives us with iron reflexes and some movement speed with armor and evasion. They look like some nice leveling boots because they only need to be level 6. The last frame, we have an incense relic here. This was shown in the live stream, so I won't go into that too much. The Searing Touch, I saw this last night. This is actually on the PoE 2 website. So if you go onto the PoE 2 website, this item is now there. Grants level 9 Living Bomb. I have absolutely no idea what the hell that is, but sounds cool. It must do fire damage of some sort, I would assume, and chance to ignite and effective ignite, so it's a fire skill of some form. The Wailing Wall, I showed that yesterday in my live in my video in regards to the leaks, where you can block all hits, block damage from all hits. So some people in this comment said that may be linked to when he said in the live stream that if their head flashes red, you cannot block it. This may mean that you can block it. Okay. Tree Fingers, this is some gloves which gives you the entire Giant's Blood keystone. Now that is pretty big. So if you don't want to go all the way down there and pick up Giant's Blood, just slap on these gloves and you'll be able to generate and be able to use two-handed axes, maces or swords in one hand, but obviously attributes are doubled. Widow Hail, we're already aware of, and Winter's Bite, is freeze enemies that are on full life. That is basically all the uniques that we have seen so far. Some of them are pretty cool, some of them we're already aware of, but I'm sure there is many more that we have not seen, and I cannot wait for them to come around and appear once we start farming maps or waystones. Other than that, guys, that was pretty much it. Thank you for watching, and until the next video, stay sane.